Hey, I'm Krootox.
Hi, I'm Varen, and welcome back to Demo Me This.
Today we're playing Costume Quest, which is made by Double Fine Productions, who've also made Stacking, Brutal Legend, and Psychonauts. And I'm a really big fan of their studio, and I just got around to playing this, and I thought it was really cool, so I decided to show Varen.
Yep, I've loved a bunch of Double Fine's games in the past. I was a big Psychonauts fan. I loved Tim Schafer's Grim Fandango. Oh, I want to say there was maybe another Tim Schafer game in there someplace, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. But tonight we are following small children as they go trick-or-treating and fighting
Hmm.
monsters as well. There was an
So
intro.
what would you call this style of game?
I would call it a role-playing game, like from its like core style. Uh,
Yep.
like it would be like you run around, you do quests, you fight monsters. Trust me, there'll be monsters. Um, and not just children in costumes. And so right now, what we're doing is we're running around the neighborhood, and if you check the quest log, we have to go trick or treat at a bunch of houses. We've already got 2 down, but we got 18 to go.
All right. So have you played the Penny Arcade role playing games?
No, I haven't. I've been kind of
Because
meaning to, but I haven't.
this game really reminds me of the first two Rainslick Precipice of Darkness games, because of the artistic style and because of the turn-based RPG with the button press, the Mario and Luigi style RPG.
Uh,
Um, but I mean, the thing that's really different is like the tone of the game. The tone in the Penny Arcade ones, and I really like that fact, is that everything is sort of this okay, quasi-realistic tone. Obviously, you're fighting the fruit fucker from the Penny Arcade comic, but it's all being presented as your character going out and actually doing battle. And I like the imaginative aspect of this game, where it appears that your character is being, is sort of make believing during these turn-based little fights that he is a giant robot and he has these robot powers, as I'm sure we'll get to see plenty during this playthrough.
oh yeah, we're gonna be seeing a lot of it. But yeah, the core element of the game is you run up to houses and you trick or treat there, and there's either a person or a monster. It's one of the two. And so if it's a person, they'll give you some free candy and you can move on to the next house. But if it's a monster, you do battle with it and you defeat it and you get candy and experience. It's almost better to do battle, but at the same time, you also have the chance of failure. It doesn't mean a whole
Mm-hmm.
lot. You just get jumped back and you can try it again.
So it's not a big deal then. Do you
Yeah.
have to use items to regain your health, or is it just replenished at the beginning of each battle?
It replenishes at the beginning of battle.
All right,
And
pretty good.
got some candy. It,
So is candy like a money system? Because I know that we have a
yeah,
separate XP bar that appears to only be filled by doing quests and killing monsters.
yeah. There's the quest bar at the top left for, sorry, the experience bar. And then the bottom left is for candy, which is basically your currency. Which I find funny because I just think I'm gonna eat it all the time. But then you run up to houses. Let's see if this is a fight. It is. So
I
you have a
like the
little,
sense of drama there. The what's going to happen when I open this door feeling.
yeah, I know, it's got a little like sound wipe that does it too. And so then there's a couple of little monsters you gotta fight. Much
Great
larger.
musical cues.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, this game's full of them. Then I do basic attack. And it's very this kind of like you decide what you're gonna do and then you have a turn-based thing. It's different for everybody. Everybody has a little different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you press buttons to defend, you press a button to do better in attack. And then
Yep, pretty standard. The part of this that's actually dissimilar to the Mario and Luigi series and the Penny Arcade series both are the fact that it actually displays the timers. Normally you just sort of have to get a feel for when you need to press the button to attack and defend, and otherwise you just sort of miss it. So I actually like the idea that it displays it so you don't have to work on memorization. That's sort of an unfair burden of knowledge in some cases.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's really easy. It just yep, I screwed that one up. It's really hard to press shift. Yep, I screwed up again. But yeah, so the other thing you can do is special attacks and special abilities. Like I'm about to drop my missile barrage and barrage him. Which you don't have to do any button pressing or anything fancy, you just press Q and go.
And it seems more centered around sort of an AoE cinematic event. Does it actually hit multiple opponents?
Yeah, that attack will actually hit all of the opponents pretty much evenly, so So you just press Q and it goes. This is Guardian Shield, which is the Knight's special ability, and you pick up party member. I'm gonna pick the person with least health, and then press space, and he does a special ability, which gives him a big shield. So everyone's special ability is a little different. They all do something different, and yeah, Guardian Shield just nullifies damage like crazy. And then you destroy the monsters, they explode into candy, and woo! You know what would help us out? Getting some battle stamps from Sadie in the park. Alright. Where's Sadie in the park?
So is this the only thing to be spending your candy on, or are there other things to be spending currency on as well?
It's the only thing you spend your money on. It's the only thing you spend all that candy you get on. And if I head over...
interesting. So one of your 2 metrics is entirely towards that. What does XP do?
XP, it gives you levels. That's pretty much it. There's the status here. So your HP and your AP, so your attack points and your health, are determined by your level, your base number, and it's the same for everyone in your party. And it goes up with experience with your levels. And then your costume will give you a little bonus. Like you can see Everett here as a knight gets plus 15 HP for wearing the knight costume.
Sure. Whereas you get plus 4 AP for wearing the robot costume.
Yeah. And then the bags that you get, you'll upgrade your candy bag, and that'll do things. And then the battle stamp, which is what goes in the middle here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like there's that much decision making to be done if you have sort of one dominant attack, and you don't have to make leveling up decisions, you don't have to make expenditure decisions. So where does the game's gameplay really come from?
It comes from running around and doing quests. It's a very fast game. You run through it a lot, and a lot of it's coming out of doing quests and doing those kind of things, and kind of deciding on what you want for your special abilities. Again, yeah, there's not a huge amount of gameplay coming out of the combat system, but I'm finding it very enjoyable to watch children talk about things. I
just find it interesting because they've removed so much of the complexity from the battle system with the timers that make it so that you can consistently hit proper timing on those, and the health regain, so you don't have to worry about item balancing or when you run into mobs. That's another thing actually I appreciate about the Penny Arcade series, is that they actually replenished your items after a given fight so that you didn't have to worry about consuming something permanently, and you only had to worry about how many you had for that individual fight. But so much of it was still related to finding where items were in the game universe outside of combat. So that was almost a weird balance. Yeah. But I'm interested here to see where the gameplay difficulty actually comes from and where the balance lays.
Yeah. A lot of the balance comes in, firstly, in the form of these battle stamps. Could you please stop yelling? Oh boy.
I like the tone here that this person, Sadie, is just selling these for anyone who's interested, calling them battle stamps, presumably even for the children who aren't getting involved in fights.
Yeah. No, it's just like, why what?
And like pretty much every other Double Fine / Tim Schafer game that you run into, it's kind of cheeky. The dialogue is very on the nose. It's very, sly kid talk.
Yeah.
But the music is, amazing, as we would expect, at least from having played Psychonauts. And the whole tone is just so charming and so, I don't know, I almost want to say like classy or witty.
Yeah. It does have that kind of feel to it, and I'm really excited about that. That's what made it really, really fun to play. But like, Black Cat adds a chance of dodging, and then Fang of the Wolf gives you increased attack power. I kind of wish I had a little more candy, but I can get that.
So are these stamps all... I guess you'd call them costume agnostic?
Yeah, you can just take whatever stamp you want and stick it on whatever costume you want. The stamps are actually attached to players, and I'll get to that in a second. And sold out, but I am 1 candy away, so I am going to... No, go away. Okay, now I can get the other one. How easy. Can I answer it? Yeah, one problem I have with this game is that exiting out of menus will throw you into other menus. I haven't found a button that'll just exit me out of a window naturally. Anyways,
That's a little strange.
yeah, it is a little weird. Um, and it's something that is kind of to the game's detriment. Um, but yeah, and so what I do is you grab the stamp like uh, let's make Reynolds good at dodging. Or oh, come on, you put it on Reynolds, and then you find Fang the Wolf. I'm like, oh, increase attack power. Oh, that'll help Everett because he doesn't have as good attack power as Reynolds. So
Okay, so you're trying to almost cancel out
their weaknesses, yeah. And
sure.
so you can see
See,
this.
and what I would consider doing is actually swapping the two stamps if I were playing right now, because then Everett would be even better at his defensive capabilities and Randall even better at his attacking. So I guess there is some decision making to be had out of combat.
Yeah, there is. But one thing about the combat system I notice is that enemies just kind of attack you randomly.
Yeah, that's pretty normal for this style of RPG, unless
Yeah,
you have some form of taunt mechanic, which usually comes out of a tankier character like a warrior or a defender.
yeah. Um, yeah, no, it's mostly in what you can do to enemies. But I've noticed it. Sometimes enemies will just wail on one person for an entire fight, which is really bad because focus fire is deadly in this game.
Well, unless it's Everett who has a lot more defensive capabilities, it might not be
Yeah,
too
it's true.
bad.
It's true. In the kind of normal save I have another save as Everett has a counter attack, so that's one of the battle stamps. I just like stuck it on him, and I was like, okay, dude, every time you get hit, you hit them back. That's perfect. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, as you can see, the battle stamps, they switch into this middle slot, and they're attached to the person and not the suit. So if you like switch costumes, the battle stamp on you is still on you, which is a
Okay,
little
that's
weird
probably
for
pretty reasonable.
yeah. It's a little weird for fights because sometimes you'll be like in a jumbled up costume and you have to just kind of go with it. Um, but you can usually find a way to make it work. But as you can see here, this stamp gives in the +4 increased attack power. So now both of my characters have an increased attack power, and Reynolds here has increased defense, and so that's something I find cool. So
All
I'm
right,
kind of
cool.
showing up weaknesses here.
That means that they're pretty much even in terms of their combat power then.
Yeah, yeah. Except for their special abilities, which really, really strongly defines their role in a fight.
That's not too surprising either.
Yeah. That's like the other layer of depth is like, which costume do I want on which person? And you kind of have to balance the. I'll get to it in a second. So this is a quest, hide and seek. And this is a quest in every area of the game. You will always find children hiding in places. Just gonna save. I don't know. I just find it really, the dialogue is really on cue for this game, and just the whole style and the setup and everything like that.
Mm-hmm. And in a lot of games, that can make it seem a little too cheeky or a little too coy with their sort of meta knowledge of existence or breaking the fourth wall. But I've always liked the way that Double Fine is able to pull it off.
Yeah, no, they do it. They do it really well, and in this game, they also execute it really well. Also, the other thing I think about this game is that it's kind of simplified, and I remember reading about it, and that specifically it was designed so that kids can actually play this game and be fairly good at it.
I can believe that. It has sort of simplistic systems.
Yeah, it's kind of like simplified a bunch of systems, but at the same time, even if it's not a game that you should like shy away from just because you're like, it's not like it doesn't feel like a kiddie or a watered down game.
Yeah, it doesn't feel
adults.
like a kid's game, not only in the edutainment sense of not actually having valuable gameplay, but it also feels like it's, in terms of tone, it has enough of those like cheeky, I want to call them animaniacs moments for those of us who are actually able to catch these jokes.
Yeah. And the other thing, and although one thing is, I don't know, have you noticed the thing about Double Fine games where you have to run around a lot and collect things?
Yeah, they're big on the collectible-based gameplay, but I don't actually have a problem with that. In Grim Fandango, for example, that was actually really fun because it was a point-and-click adventure, and so when you did things like that, it felt like solving another puzzle and was an interesting mechanism even when it had some adventure game logic, and you didn't have like serious causality between the events you were taking in and the sort of the cutscenes you were getting, the responses from items you were using as you sort of did the traditional rub everything against every other thing approach to the game.
Yeah. Well, in this game, it also has kind of a collection thing because you run around smacking every object that you can in the game in order to collect more candy because you want to get more battle stamps.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
so,
like, if you wanted to speed through it, you could probably make it through the combat in the later game just fine without all of the battle stamps.
yeah, it's true.
If
You
you're
don't,
good enough at it, I suppose.
or if you know which stamps to get. There are some stamps that are like that I feel just aren't as great. That a lot of those battle stamps just play into like what style you have, and not exactly the like specific like this one is strictly better than this one. It really is more of a matter of like, well, what style of gameplay do you want? Are you gonna fly in all damage ready, or are you gonna, switch it up and do something a little different? But again,
But I like the fact that you can make those decisions. That's part of what makes a role-playing game have meaningful choices in it. And that can even be difficult if there aren't that many things to collect or that many things to do, or the combat doesn't have terribly much depth.
yeah,
Which is actually something I really liked about Psychonauts, was the collectibles. And I know that that's counterintuitive. They possibly could have felt like gameplay padding at certain times, but I so enjoyed my ability to go out into the world and, pick up all the goofy objects and find the luggage tags and run through each level and find all the secret goodies and all the hidden stuff and jump over places where you shouldn't be and learn all the fancy wall hops and use your mentalist powers to get through, stuff you might not have been able to before. I just feel like it was such a fun game in that sense of depth that it wasn't a problem that those things sort of artificially elongated the game at points. There were progress gates, for example, at certain levels of your mind powers that you had to work towards.
yeah, yeah. That's one thing. But yeah, for this game, you don't really have like collectibles so much as you just have objects to smack because you need more candy.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's what one of the things that this game could use would be a little more depth in that particular angle, because it doesn't add challenge or difficulty to the game. But so long as they also weren't progress gated, as long as it wasn't you must get 10 of the 15 tchotchkes to continue.
Yeah. It's definitely not progress gated, but yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Up, more monsters, always the monsters.
So far, it's only been these guys who are your enemies. Do you just keep getting more of these guys and they keep getting harder, or do you eventually run against other types of enemies?
You do run against other types of enemies, but it's just like monsters that look different. You'll see there's some like basically mage ones. Oh man, these guys are level 2. This is gonna be
these are a
intense.
pair of level 2s. They might give you trouble.
They might give you some serious trouble. Look at this. But hey, I got all my battle stamps ready, so we got this. It's cool when you don't actually dodge, man.
I mean, geez, if these are successes and you're still taking this much damage, I don't know I don't want to know what happens when you miss a Q.
You take serious freaking damage. I mean, it's not significantly, like, hugely more, but it is definitely like damaging. Like, this game can get dangerous quickly.
But I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
If not for the sense of stakes, then at least for the sense of added gameplay value.
Yeah. And it also, well, that was an accident, but oh well. Oops. And so there's not like a huge difference in how much damage you do based off of that stuff. And I think that kind of helps to like make it more deterministic on how the game plays out. Because if an enemy attacks you, they're going to hit. There's no like chance of missing. Well, unless I have that thing on, but nobody missed the entire fight. That was lame.
And I see that you got a pair of items after that last fight. What do those do?
Oh, the items. Yes, the creepy treats. It's literally just creepy treats.
They're just stamps to collect?
Yeah, they're another kind of collection system in the game, and there'll be quests where certain little kids want you to. I keep calling them little kids. Certain kids will want you to collect a certain rare stamp, and I think I know where one of them is.
And you'll get XP based on that?
Yeah. You'll
That's
get XP, and then you'll get I think you also get another one of the creepy treats. But yeah, if you look at this, they're cards. There we go. I need to
So you have to trade him one. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So basically, if you find like a duplicate of the card that they're looking for, you can trade it with him, and he'll give you one of his cards.
Which is presumably the only way to get a copy of that particular card in the game.
Yeah. So they do have another collection system in there.
Science and the monarchy. Whoa, Russell, that's a little too real for me right now.
No, it's just it's a fun game. Some of theirs you might be. Look, I have a colleague in front of the steps over there. I might be able to inspire you. Just tell her I said it's a matter of manifest destiny. Got that?
That got a little much white man's burden pretty quickly. Like I said, I love the writing though.
I have a manifest destiny. And so little Cindy says, you should see a doctor about that. Here, let me give you this prescription. And so if I click Q and I go to my costume pattern, so for completing part of the quest, I get a pattern for the Statue of Liberty costume, which is appropriately patriotic.
And you're told the location too, so you can go and find the bits to it.
Yeah, so you can find all the bits to it in Auburn Pines subdivision, which is where you are currently. So it's around here somewhere. Somewhere. But you see, like, oh no, several key compartments of cardboard. But yeah, I can just switch to the here, which will become relevant soon. But if you click space, what's the password?
Oh.
So they let you into a sewer. Don't ask me why they let you into a sewer.
Well, yeah, why do the kids have access to a sewer all of a sudden?
But yeah, then you get material sheet, and so that is one of the things you need for the Statue of Liberty costume.
Oh, okay, I see.
So you kind of like collect parts to the costume, and then you can do this.
So that you can just blaze your way past everybody in the little Abraham Lincoln costumes?
Yeah. You just run up to them, say manifest destiny, and they let you through. This is probably one of the.
At least there are no dialogue trees. That's good.
Yeah, no, there's no dialogue trees at all. It's just like run here, pick up a quest, go to a thing. This kid's hiding from me.
And it's straightforward, but a directed experience is not a problem.
Yeah. It is very linear in terms of like storytelling, but it also, you know, again has a lot of the strong explorative elements that come up in other games. Like it's a very strong game about you have a lot of sense to like explore around in the areas you're in and to kind of like find things and people and places and that. But it also has a strong sense of like then there's like the plot that goes along. For quests,
I don't
just
have a problem with linear methods of storytelling. People talk about open world experiences like they're inherently superior to linear narrative, but I don't think that's the case even in gaming, so long as you're still given, you know, meaningful and important choices.
Yeah. You need a password? No, man. This is a circle of trust in here.
I mean, you got in with the password. Really, what else are you gonna get?
Yeah, exactly. But now I am wearing the Statue of Liberty costume.
Yeah, man, jingoism is so old hat.
Totally.
I would hope so. He told you how to get the pattern.
But yeah, I still need to switch out of this costume though. Yeah. Oh wait, I need to smack things.
Always a good plan.
I need to smack trash cans to get candy from them. I feel that's a bit of a health hazard, but oh well. By the way, I'm gonna switch Everett here, because I can decide what Everett wears as well. I'm gonna
I mean,
switch.
that makes sense. If you have 3 costumes for 2 people, there's no other way to cycle through them but to actually have choice over both of them.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so Everett's in the Statue of Liberty costume. Oh, I got candy. I was hoping for a monster fight. Oh well.
Oh well.
Oh well. I can just run up to the next house and I'll probably run into a fight there. I'm not kidding you, that's exactly how this game works. He's like, I'm gonna go trick-or-treating. But instead of looking for candy and getting excited about that, I'm getting excited about monster fighting. There we go. And so, the Statue of Liberty... Yes, he just turns into the Statue of Liberty. That's also one of the funnier things I found about the game is... Oh, by the way, there's a Warlock. There we go.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm gonna let the Warlock live and do something a little inefficient. Yeah.
the torch, huh?
Yep. But you see the Warlock just kind of like, oh, gave a damage
yeah,
boost
delivers
to that
a
guy.
buff to the other guy. Okay.
Yeah. They do some other things as well. Things that are really terrifying. See how the Statue of Liberty just got lit on fire? So I always aim to take those out first, because it's just my inclination to do so.
Yep.
Because it's like, they can buff enemies, and their attacks will do fire damage to you. Up, level up.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have more health and do more damage. So if I check my status, I now have 71 health and 22 base AP, and that's just flat for everybody in the party.
Mm-hmm. I like the art design on the houses. That's pretty. That's pretty nice. That it looks like they designed each house individually, such that you can then go see, are the lights on or the lights off. But they did such a good job with the texturing that you can really tell the houses are individual.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. They all kind of have like little different decorations, and they feel different. They have different things going on with them. But
And I mean, we think of Double Fine as a very independent studio, but clearly they had the manpower to model an entire subdivision like that, like the whole game, presumably.
yeah, no, they did this for like the entire game. It's kind of crazy. They have all sorts of interesting characters.
That's an impressive attention to detail, but given that the game was originally Xbox Live Arcade and PSN, that seems like an awful lot of effort to put in to such a small game in scope.
I think it's just because with Double Fine, one of the things that they're really big on is getting that kind of like attention to detail in there. And
I mean that's what has led to all of their other games being so amazing. I haven't played Brutal Legend, and I'm assuming that if any of their games is going to be um, going to be a counterpoint to that particular aspect of their general design philosophy, I would feel like it would be that one. But all of their other games that I've played have been really strong in that aspect, so I do like that a lot. But I will note that the Statue of Liberty costume, at least the in battle one, I would like to see a little bit more detail on that.
yeah, I can see why. I mean, I suppose all they had to go on was it's the Statue of Liberty, but yeah, no, I can see where you would want a little more detail.
But you can always add design flair. Maybe in the middle of the attacks, there's some light pattern that comes up. Maybe there's a particular event with Lady Liberty that they wanted to like spruce up. Maybe heck, a French joke because it was originally a gift from the French to the United States. Something like that.
Yeah.
A Cloverfield joke where it gets blown up and falls apart when the character dies.
You know,
Who knows?
you were just talking about how the French made it, so there's a reference right there. Such a glorious American symbol built by American hands. So now you're invited to the Super American clothing party.
Ah, cute. I love how everybody just has Abraham Lincoln costumes except that kid and you.
Yeah.
I keep expecting it to say Pieces 08 just because it's your form of currency, and I recently completed the first Monkey Island game.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I can see that. So I'm switching to this costume, but you'll see why. There's a squirrel. So I can get a cherry.
So is that going to become a useful tchotchke later, or is it just a thing you pick up?
It becomes useful later.
That's good.
I'm not going to take that. And so I'm going to immediately make it useful because I know exactly where the quest needs to go for it. But yeah, this is just like the core of the game right here. Is running around doing little quests for kids, and yeah, no, and that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to not skip through these things.
That's a little strange.
What, that ever gets in trouble a lot?
No, that the principal is sort of leveraging this power over a pair of presumably elementary or middle school students outside of their scholastic bounds. I can only assume it's some form of political point about the overreaching of modern day educational systems into the lives of children in the school to prison pipeline. Or possibly just a plot point. You never know.
Well, when I first read it, I was just like, "Yep, sounds like elementary school adventures."
Uh huh.
And if it doesn't get in trouble, ma'am. Yes, you can go fetch me an ingredient to help with the pie bake. Hurry before I change my mind and give you both detention on Monday.
Oh, okay.
And so I showed them the cherry. So it's Halloween tonight. But yeah, and that's how that works. Then you can talk to her again. She's like, positive for squirrel rabies. I'm a little confused as to whether the teacher got the test for that. How do you test something for squirrel rabies?
You generally in animals, you cut off the head after it's died of rabies and verify through dissection of the brain. Don't know how you test cherries though.
There's a chest there, and I want to get to it, but I will go to the house first. Oh, okay, more candy. I don't know. It's really weird. Like there's a I don't know. The game is really good about the houses. Since it's such a core element, it does a really good job of helping to build that tension, especially through the music and through the kind of like the build up it makes. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you just think about it mechanically, it's like go to house and you're either you fight or you get candy. You're like,
Yeah,
okay,
there's
one
no
of the two.
decision to be made there. It just happens.
Yeah, and so I like how there's kind of this like big build up to it because it is something that's kind of out of your hands. It's kind of like, I'm not making a decision here, other than do I hit the door or not. And I think that's good for agency purposes because it gives the players this kind of sense that like they're in control. Like it's their decision about when they're going to hit the door on that house. And then the tension and the build-up's really there because they're like, well, I decided to go to this house and I thought it would be a good idea, but I don't know. I might fight a monster.
But I mean, the way that you deal with that is by preparation.
Yeah,
You just get a lot of, you get a lot of costumes, you get the right stamps, you get everybody situated as well as possible and as leveled as you can before getting into a given fight. But then you take the fights on.
yeah. And I think that's the last thing is the best way to get candy, and essentially this is how you get battle stamps, is to go to houses and knock on the doors. Like, that's how you get candy. You can also get it from quests and from other things, and you can get it from fights too. So it is kind of a risk reward, and you do have to just kind of like play a guessing game with houses and be like, well, I hope this house doesn't have any monsters in it because I really need candy right now.
Or heck, if it does have monsters, good. Don't fights give both candy and XP?
They do, though not as much candy. It's probably a
So,
monster.
but it still seems sort of randomly assigned.
Yeah, it is. And they're outfits are also randomly assigned, which I found to be the most amusing thing.
That's a little strange. I find it odd that there don't appear to be any female characters yet, aside from the principal and your sister, who gets immediately kidnapped in the odious Princess in Peril meme immediately.
Do you mean... Well, there is. One of these people is named Cindy.
There have been a couple of girl children around, I think, but they don't really seem to have roles.
Yeah. You know, there's little girls running around. Well, so the first thing is that, I don't know if this should be spoiler or not. So the person at the stand over here is also female.
That's right, Sadie.
Yeah, Sadie. And now I can get more of these. So I can do a counterattack, the egg in your face, which is damage and a stun, or I can get increased HP. And I can only get 2 of them.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not going to get the increased HP. That's kind of boring. Instead...
Those definitely seem like the more fun options, than just, oh, more hit points.
Yeah, no, I never use the more hit points, just because I'm like, this isn't as fun. But, so I'll take the battle stamps, and I'll put the counterattack on Reynold, because he's a big aggressor dude. And I'll put this egg in your face ability for the stun. And you'll see why really soon, why I just jumped on top of this setup.
Alright.
I just had to fight a monster.
Yeah, it's been a while since we had a fight.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to think there aren't going to be fights.
There we go.
There it is. Oh, 2 warlocks. That's never the fun option. But there's a weaker one. This is a lower level one. And so this is something, so I use the egg on your face ability because it gives you that option in the shift. So you do that and it'll stun them. Doesn't do much damage, but it'll deny them their turn.
Yeah, it doesn't need to do that much damage.
Yeah, exactly. It's really useful. Not killed. And then I can do an egg on your face. It kind of makes fights at this point in the game, like, I wouldn't say tedious, but it's like...
No threat of reciprocation, so you can just keep hitting him.
Yeah, exactly. You basically, once you get...
Because he's level 3.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm gonna do... Yeah, I'm gonna just... I am instead going to Guardian Shield myself. While on fire.
Good plan. Does that stop periodic damage?
No, but I get to show you the counterattack. As you can see, I really don't like...
Yep, that's some good damage right there.
Yeah. But yeah, the counterattack, it's a basic attack, and so every time you get hit, you hit them back.
I am interested that they do call those, whatever they're called, creepy snacks. They do call those items. Though that's strange because in the traditional RPG sense, they can't be expended except by trading them to certain people who want only that one.
Yeah, it is a little weird that they are called items and they're declared as such, but you can't really get any mechanical use out of them. I hope to goodness I've played this game enough to know, but I hope like someone doesn't like pop on and be like, no, you can actually use them for things, and I'd be like, well, that changes the entire game for me. But yeah, trick or treating for life. Oh yeah, there's another female character, the witch. The obvious magic lady who tornadoed you in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. So there are women, it's just that when you're... I noticed this towards the beginning of the game, I was like, man, I'm spending the entire section of this game, and the only people really doing anything are men, because I'm following just these 2 little boys. To which you could construct a feminist argument, but at the same time, you remember, you know, at the very beginning of the game, you decide between 2 twin siblings, especially to, like, note what the plot is. You and your twin sibling, who is also the opposite gender. So, for this case, you and your slightly older sister, go trick-or-treating, and your sister gets captured. But if you played as a female, it's your brother who gets captured instead. And so, it doesn't change anything that happens in the plot. It's just kind of a thing that exists. Yeah. And so the game, you know, while you could in this section construct that kind of like feminist argument.
I mean, part of that is also needing to know the rest of the plot, and obviously I
Yeah.
haven't played the game, so I can't criticize it on that particular value. Let's see if we can't find one more fight, though, before we end the recording.
Yeah, okay. Let me go find it. Be like, nope. It's
There's
weird.
a problem that I certainly have.
That what the fights? You can't find fights.
No, it was always my job to hand out the candy on Halloween, so I always had to tell the kids, look, if you don't take it and eat it, I'll eat it, and nobody wants that.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of non-fights. Oh, there's another hid hiding. You can always spot them. Oh, Lily.
So many of these costumes look so interesting. How many of these do you think you can get?
How many you can get? There's a lot of the costumes in the game are just things kids wear, and you can't actually get them.
That's a bummer. It would be really good to, that dragon one looks fascinating. The witch one that some little kid had, I wanted to see what the princess's special moves were. And you get a costume that's the Statue of Liberty, but you can't have those? That might be a design issue.
Yeah, it's true. You do get a lot of costume options, though. Like, there's 4 here. There's 1 down here as well. And then there's 4 here, and then there's 3 here. So you get a grand total of...
That's 11 costumes over the course of the game. That's not bad.
Yeah. So you get 11 costume choices over the course of the game. And every one of the costumes that you get is different from what all the other kids get.
That's pretty cool, at least. I'm glad to hear that they came up with lots of interesting and independent costumes for both you and the other kids. Yeah. I noted that there was also an entry for what they called a focus in the costume list. Like, for example, the robot's focus is attack, and the knight's is presumably something like defense or tanking. How many of those are there?
All sorts. And it gives you a description of the combat ability, and it gives you it tells you what the exploration ability is called, and it tells you how you...
Well, I don't think the type is actually terribly important. I wonder why they put that in.
I think it's because... I don't actually know. It doesn't actually change anything, and I know that for a fact. I think it's just because they wanted to just say, well, it's typed. Or it could have been something that the designers or the game creators were like, well, we could have a range system or something like that, but they just never ended up implementing it.
They were expecting to implement it, but it never got in because, let's be honest, sometimes you just ain't gonna need it.
Yeah. Or it could be something that I haven't discovered yet because I still haven't beaten the game, but I'm pretty far into the game. It'd be a little weird if they just added like ranged combat in. I mean, I have another character who's a little girl obsessed with science, and
oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was amusing. But yeah, so as you can see here, the Statue of Liberty has the combat ability Anthem, which is a mass heal.
Good. It's your first support costume.
Yeah. And then there's a unicorn costume which raises people from the dead, but that's way later in the game.
That's pretty awesome. But very limited in use.
Yeah, it is. I've lost people in fights before, but yeah, it is very limited.
I mean, sure, you can lose them, but if its special ability only resurrects people, then you have to have people dying every single fight, or it just isn't worth it.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of a very strong backup ability. Like, you don't use Guardian Shield very often. As you can see, there are now shamans and warlocks, and we are fighting both. Let's hope. And so shamans are about what you would expect, so I'm gonna stun the warlock and let you show some of the shaman abilities.
Mm-hmm.
He can put up a shield. I'll egg that guy again. Shamans actually have a good number of abilities. They have like 3, which is about the same. Which he heals himself.
No.
Yeah.
There's at least some more challenge there then. Good.
Yeah, no. Shamans will heal, warlocks will do buffs and damage. Oh, egg in your face in the shaman.
I know that you've applied burning to them, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's actually one of the stronger aspects of the. Oops, that didn't work. Yeah, there you go. And so, adding burning is what the special ability for the robot does. So the robot special ability is damage everyone and do a little fire thing so they continue damage. And you can also get other things that add damage. So I've done evil things that revolve around using the robot's special ability and then having someone else poison other people, which is just
So it is big damage over time.
yeah, which is more useful for like bosses who are like annoyingly immune to abilities. Bugged me. I was like, hey, I want to use the egg in your face ability to stun the boss, and then I hit him with it, and he was like, your abilities don't work on me. And I'm like, wow, really? But yeah, overall, really fun game, really enjoyable to play. It's got the flair and charm of what you would expect from Double Fine, as well as a simplified but still kind of interesting combat mechanic, and lots of little things for you to do, little things for you to smack. I haven't smacked any kids, but you can do that too, and they all have these like interesting little dialogue options. So it's a fun little game to play. You play through it, you have some fun. Yeah.
Well, good. It's a pretty cute game.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Tune in next time.
Yep. See ya.